Welcome into this week's episode of Spartan Sports Report. I'm Jack Stager.
And I'm Mikayla Mazza. As you mentioned, Jack, it was a busy week for Spartan sports. There were multiple packs of Wolverines all over East Lansing this past week. Potholes are nothing new to Michigan, but a recently signed plan could turn one booming business into better roads across our state. Lansing had both of these this Labor Day weekend. The Michigan Chicken Wing Festival returned to Lansing and raised money for the nonprofit Against All Odds, while also bringing chicken lovers together. Attention shifted back to East Lansing as the Green and White would take on number 3 Michigan in a top 10 matchup. Michigan gained possession of the opening tip, and a high-flying alley-oop to Carson Cooper would open the scoring for MSU, but Michigan State trailed most of the first. Early in the second half, though, Jeremy Fears Jr. pushed the pace, finishing the fast break with a layup as the crowd erupts, and later Jackson Kohler hit this turnaround fadeaway from the middle of the key. Jordan Scott beating his late defender with a drive and acrobatic finish in the lane. Then Kohler drills a deep three that would keep the Breslin on their feet. With 6 minutes left in the second half, Scott would drive through Michigan defenders for another tough bucket, but Michigan's Will Cheddar would crush Spartan hearts with a clutch three-pointer to put the game out of reach when the clock hit 0.
Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Amy. It looks like such a fun and safe event for our mid-Michigan kids. Certainly there's some safety concerns around this holiday, like making sure candy is safe to eat and even watching out for drivers in the neighborhood. The Spartans field hockey team spent their weekend in Burlington, Vermont, first taking on the Vermont Catamounts on Friday. The game was tied at 2-2 heading into the fourth period, but Vermont scored the go-ahead goal with 8 minutes remaining, defeating the Spartans 3-2.
Andy T's is a local spot to get cider and donuts too.
Oh, that sounds so delicious. And now that we're in the fall spirit, I think it's a great time to talk about sports. Thanks, Jack and Laura. It's that time of the year again. The leaves are falling, the air is crisp, and fall sports are aplenty. So let's get into the action. So the East Lansing crew came out on top this year.
What a fun rivalry and a great place to end our show.
Yes, that's all we have for you today on Focal Point News.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Gabriel Klein.
And I'm Mikayla Mazza. We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend. Welcome back to DeMartin Field. It's 2-0 Michigan State after 2 quick goals in just the last 5 minutes of the first half. Now, Indiana so far, they have been putting heavy pressure on the Spartan offense, double, even triple teaming them as soon as they step foot onto their side of the field. Now, what that's doing for Michigan State is it's opening up little spaces if the Spartans can get their passes through quick enough. And that is how Kayla Briggs and Ella Jans got the 2 goals for Michigan State. So excited to see what's going to happen in the rest of this matchup. Jack and Kyle, back to you guys. When you win the national championship and become the national champion, you're bound to have eyes on you for the rest of the next season. And that's what's been going on for Lucas Bird of Illinois, who's the 133 national champion. He's 10-0 to start this season and 50-3 in duels of all of his career. But today that could all change if he wrestles against MSU probable Caleb Weand. Weand was the only Spartan in Michigan State's duel against Michigan last week to come out with a win there. And he's new at the 133-pound, but looking to make his name in the Big Ten. And there could possibly be an upset if we see that matchup today. And I mean, Lucas Bird is just looking to keep that undefeated streak going. Such an incredible match today between these two teams. Back to you, Maddie and Eric. Things are pretty sweet here at DeMartin Field, where the Michigan State women's soccer team is moving on to the 3rd round in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA Women's Soccer Tournament. Last night, it was Kayla Briggs who was the hero for Michigan State. She popped one up over the Wake Forest goalie to give the Spartans the go-ahead goal, and from then on, they just really locked in defensively to close that game out with a 1-0 win over Wake Forest. Santa hats filled the Breslin Center today as Michigan State men's basketball welcomed in an out-of-conference opponent, the Toledo Rockets. I'm Mikayla Mazza with Spartan Sports Report, and let's see what happened in this matchup. Jackson Kohler got the beyond the arc shooting started for MSU, and the Spartans struck while the iron was hot and got a 20-6 lead just about 5 minutes into the matchup. And now I know many have criticized MSU's three-point shooting, but today the Spartans shared the wealth in the first half after three-pointers by Jackson Kohler, Kurt Tang, who went 3 for 3, Jesse McCullough, and point guard Jeremy Fears Jr. Some good Toledo shooting made things a little closer later on, 36-21 MSU. But the Spartans closed out the half strong, ending with a 30-point lead, 58-28, led by who other than the team leader in points, Jackson Kohler, who had a double-double, 14 points and 11 rebounds. Now, it was a little bit of a slower start for Michigan State in the second half, mostly getting free throw points, until a player who was a little quieter for the Spartans today came out to play. Cohen Carr, he lost the ball, sprinted back on defense, blocking Toledo's shot, almost falling over the Toledo player, then sprinting back to MSU's basket and slamming home his first dunk of the night for a 64-36 lead Michigan State. The Spartans followed the momentum from Carr's dunk until they hit a little bit of a plateau in the second half and went about 5 minutes without a bucket until Jordan Scott found an open Jesse McCullough, who finished his second dunk of the night, making the score 80-58. Now, layups have been a pretty big issue for this squad, but improvement was seen today after back-to-back-to-back layups by Cam Ward, Trey Fort, and Cohen Carr. The Spartans got the W 92-69, but Tom Izzo wasn't exactly saying ho, ho, ho after the 23-point victory.
You know, and every mother will say, well, we're 30 up, coach, so you're never satisfied. They're right. I'm not. Because I'm looking to play for games way beyond the game we just played. And that's where this program is. I don't need to win games. I need to win games and improve. And if you're not improving and winning games, then eventually it's going to catch up with you.
Michigan State will be at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit facing off against an in-state opponent, the Oakland Golden Grizzlies, on Saturday at 12 p.m. I'm Mikayla Mazza with Spartan Sports Report, and make sure to check out all of our social medias for more Spartan sports content. We have been waiting all season long, and the biggest rivalry game for Michigan State is here, and it ended sadly in heartbreak for Spartan Nation. I'm Mikayla Mazza with Kyle Keegan for Spartan Sports Report, and you know, clearly in that first half, Michigan was the better squad. Take us through it, Kyle.
Yeah, you're right, Mikayla. Right from the get-go, it was all Wolverines. They were finding their big men down low, and they were just dominating from all aspects of the offensive part of the game. They were hitting threes, they were getting in the paint, they were getting to the line. Ade Mara hit some big early shots. Axel Lendenberg, who we'll get into a little bit later, was excellent as well. And they really just put on a clinic defensively. They only allowed 7 field goals to Michigan State in the first 20 minutes, while also forcing 11 turnovers. And they were up 8 with a couple of minutes left in the first half, and then there was a big momentum swing with a hook and hold foul called on Cam Ward that would lead to Lendenberg getting to the line to put the Wolverines up by 10. Before that, it was originally going to be a loose ball foul on the Wolverines to send Ward to the line for 1-and-1. Instead, it's a 5-point swing as he makes both free throws and then an and-1 finish on the ensuing possession. So it leads to a Michigan 16-point lead at the half, and they really did dominate.
Right, it was so hard for Michigan State to defend against Michigan's size, and even though Michigan State was trying to get that fast break offense going, there was really nothing generated there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They struggled from the perimeter, and they struggled to get that fast break, those fast break points early on in the game. In the start of the second half, though, that's when we started to see things turn around. They came out of the break with a chip on their shoulder, and they were on fire. They got off to a great start in the half. I believe they went on a 16-4 run to open up that first half, and they were able to get it all the way back to tied. It was 55-55 after a massive three-pointer from Jackson Kohler with just under 8 minutes to go in the second half, and they would even take take the lead on this layup here by Jordan Scott. That would be the last time, though, MSU had the lead, 59-57. After that, it was a 26-12 run to close it out for Michigan, Mikayla, and they just hit some big shots down the stretch. Give the Wolverines credit, because this crowd was going absolutely bonkers, and when MSU had all the momentum, it was the Wolverines that flipped it back on the Spartans' heads.
Yeah, Kyle, there was just total disappointment from the whole Michigan State squad today, and we heard Tom Izzo and Jackson Kohler tell us a little bit more.
Our offense, I thought, was very poor the first half. Thought it was an incredible comeback. Thought we did everything we could do, and then we just couldn't get over the hump. So
we just got to make sure that we come together as a team, and we let this experience and this feeling bring us closer together and not rip us apart.
The Wolverines snagged one out of the Breslin Center, 83-71, and next up, Michigan State will travel to Minnesota on Wednesday before coming back home to face off against Illinois on Saturday. I'm Mikayla Mazza and Kyle Keegan with Spartan Sports Report. Now make sure to follow all of our Spartan Sports Report socials to keep up with more Michigan State men's basketball.